Hello?
Hey,
How are you?
I'm really well. How are you?
I'm trying not to freak out.
That's a good strategy. We don't want to spend our entire 60-second club on the freak out.
No, not at all.
Very cool. So what do you want to do in our time here?
I actually wanted to know, I know that in a couple of your snaps you said, you have a family, and I know you don't show like your kids on Snap and stuff like that, but I'm just curious on how you balance it all. I kind of do a couple different things, and for a while there I kind of felt like I had everything at least, up in the air, and then it kind of all came down, and now just trying to get everything spinning again. I just feel like, if I'm doing good on one, then I'm failing at another, and I just want to know how you balance it all.
I think I balance it all by not judging myself too harshly. I think that's really where it starts and stops. I think way too many people have lost the work-life balance before it even started because they're gonna be critical on themselves regardless of it, right? It's so hard to balance. And so for me, I just know I'm doing the best that I can. And if I'm doing the best that I can, that in itself has put me in a position to succeed. And some days that means that I have to choose my family time on a Friday night, or Sunday morning, an executive ran into me on Saturday and asked me to meet for coffee and wanted to jam, and I just couldn't. I couldn't because of the family time, right? And so that's the family being chosen. Other times I'm flying and speaking somewhere or having a big meeting, and I'm missing some sort of like school function that I don't want to miss. And that's the other way. And the truth is, I just don't beat myself up. All of us are trying the best we can. And so as long as nothing is glaring, and to me glaring is the following. My kids have become completely horrible people and have major problems in society, and/or I go directly out of business in my businesses. As long as neither one of those are happening, I think it's gonna be okay. And so I think it's how you judge how you're balancing way more than the reality of it. And recognizing that you have a different point of view on it than your partner, than the kids, than your business associates. And I think you need to care about your point of view on it first and foremost, while being empathetic to everybody else's points of view.
Awesome. That's a really good answer. I know that, it's hard to try and not judge what you're doing and stuff like that.
That's the game, right? That's like everybody could be failing at work-life balance if they've decided they're failing at work-life balance.
Okay.
So as long as you're not, as long as your spouse or your partner isn't saying I want to break up or get a divorce, and as long as your kids aren't like eating pine tar, and as long as your banks aren't coming to foreclose your business, you're gonna be okay. And I think people are freaking out. Like, I didn't even see my dad until I was 15. And I love him, and we have the best relationship. Like, there are people who've had their fathers walk out on their family and they didn't see him for 15 years, and now they have great relationships because they've reconciled. Like, people are way too judgmental and overanalyzing work-life balance in today's modern PR society. And so if you feel good about it, then you'll win. And I think not judging yourself too harshly, because it is hard to balance everything, because that's life. And I don't aim for perfect. I'm not interested in perfect. It's not real. Perfect is fake. And so I just live.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. It feels better, right? It feels better to look at it that way.
Yeah, it's I said it's hard, and I said with little kids and stuff, it's like mommy's not here, daddy's not here, and that's kind of all they see. As much as they're involved, it's just kind of hard some days. And
they're tougher than you think. How old are they?
3 and 8.
3 and 8. Tell me anything you remember of being 3. Go.
Not much.
Interesting.
Just being in a hospital. That's
right.
about it.
And you know what? When you really as long as you're counterbalancing it with love, and one of the biggest things, all these parents judging people. Meanwhile, they're around because they work 9 to 5. But if they're not deploying love and are in it from 5 to 9 every night and on the weekend, what are they really accomplishing? Just because you're there doesn't mean you're there.
Right. So do you, when you do have your family, like you said, when you have your family time, you just kind of say, that's family time, and that's kind of non-negotiable.
Yeah, and
that might be different times, but.
Yes, and sometimes it, most of the time it works out, but sometimes it doesn't, right? Like sometimes I can get distracted, and I'm just not willing to beat myself up if I decided to go down a rabbit hole for an hour on a Sunday when I should have been all in on the family. That's just gonna happen. Like
Right.
This is about not beating yourself up and knowing where your intent and your efforts are, and also knowing life's a long game. So in 2-3 years, when I'm taking my kids on business trips and traveling with them and showing them the world, like that's where the benefits have come from some of the sacrifices. And I don't know, I think everybody, if they had the option of, would you rather have had your parents around every minute from 1 to 5, but not be able to do all these amazing experiences with them from 11 to 18 versus the alternative? I just have a funny feeling all of us would raise our hand and say, I'll take that 11 to 18 shit. And I plan on dominating that, and some of the sacrifices I have to create between 1 to 8 is something I'm willing to do, and that's my strategy, and I don't give a fuck if some parenting blogger says that I'm not spending enough time with them. Fuck you.
Well, thank you.
Let me come and judge you from afar. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's too many people out there doing that. I love your attitude and I love your message, and I started following you a couple of months ago, and I wait for your content every day. I really like it. In fact, there's some days that I'm like, I know that sometimes if someone's like, I don't have time or this and that, you're like, I'm gonna go audit their social media, and I'm like, maybe I can piss him off and go audit my social media and tell me
I love
how
it.
good or bad I'm doing at this point. But I really appreciate you taking the time. In fact, I was running from my daughter's dance lesson with her yesterday as I'm commenting on your post and hashtagging, and I got home and my family I was like, I get to talk to Garyvee, and my husband's like, I don't know what that means, but okay.
He's like, what's that? Listen, honestly, and thank you. Right now, I'm feeling really good in my stomach because I knew why I wanted to do this. I figured out my health by tricking myself into a system where I was accountable to somebody else. I knew that I wanted to do something more for my community. Even though that I feel like I'm at the top of the game, I wanted to be better than my best self. And I needed to trick myself into a game that made me bring more. And at this moment right now, I'm super happy. I've never been happier about this the 60-second club is fun because it's fun to see how many comments and you get in this, it's crazy and that's all fun. But this chat made it better.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking time.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was fun.
That was good. You want to go?
60-second club. Gotta trick yourself.